All right, without further ado, let's go ahead and bring on our party panel for Tech Managers Unite. All right, this is a stacked panel. There are so many of you. I was talking about how I usually send out an invitation and I oversend them out expecting half to not get back to me or, to not be able to make it. But then everybody said yes. So I said, you know what? Great. What the hell? So everyone's here. I'm very excited. So I'm going to let each of you kind of introduce yourselves and talk a little bit about what you do. Jordan, I'm going to have you start.
All right. How's it going, everybody? I'm Jordan Scales. I am the account manager for higher ed at Crestron Electronics. I work majority on the West Coast, but my role is to partner with campus and AV teams to support, design, train on reliable environments, something that they can scale, as well as support at the same time. My mission is to simplify the technology behind teaching, ensure I empower our education managers to be able to support these systems properly and actually know what they're getting installed, because not everybody's doing it themselves. And if they are doing it themselves, I'm trying to find ways to enhance that as well so that they can have way less headaches and ensure their systems are always working.
Beautiful. Ryan?
Yes. Hey, everybody. My name is Ryan Budvitis with Shore, and I am part of the market development team. I'm on the West Coast, but we have a whole team of us across the nation. And we are the end user facing arm of the company. And so I have probably met some of you out there. And I do have a specialty working with higher ed, as well as just with conferencing at large, in corporate as well. And really it's a unique position because we get to really get into the weeds, get into the mud with you guys to figure out not only what's needed right now, but also what it is that you would love to see in the future. And we get to take that back to our team internally. And a lot of times things that we hear from higher education, get brought into, future products. And so exciting role. And thanks for having me be here.
Amazing. John?
Hi, I'm John Pfeffer. I'm the Principal Technology Architect for Learning Spaces here at the University at Buffalo. Been doing this for quite a while and really excited to be part of this party panel today.
Wonderful. Michael?
Hi, everybody. My name is Michael Peevler. I'm the Vice President of Sales at Atlas IED. We're a 91-year-old audio company, and so we're everything from speakers to amplifiers to DSPs. I oversee a large national sales team, as well as a team in Canada and throughout South America. I have been in the education space, education major, and taught for 8 years. So I was one of those people behind the lecturer for a long time, and then spent about 17 years when I first got into the industry, very much like Ryan, in the business development and leading the business development efforts at another manufacturer for higher education and K-12. So excited to be here and excited to contribute however we can.
Excellent. Greg? Oh.
Hey, I got it now. Hi, everybody. Greg Turner. I'm the Academic Technology Manager at Michigan State University for our Health Sciences schools. So that encompasses the College of Osteopathic Medicine, the College of Human Medicine, and the College of Nursing. And we provide support services in and out of the classroom for our medical colleges.
Wonderful. And Craig?
Hi, good afternoon. Thanks for the invite. I'm Craig Underwood from rAVe University in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. I'm the Director of AV Engineering, so I handle pretty much everything from our performing arts halls to classrooms to digital signage across our campus. And I'm the sole person that keeps it all running.
Just keeps it all running. Nothing crazy.
Yeah.
So I wanted to start by putting my tech managers and adjacent positions on the spot. So Greg, Craig, and John, from your experiences, what is the biggest day-to-day challenge that you face when it comes to keeping your classrooms running reliably?
I could take a stab at that. Right now, we're seeing it with rolling out some new technology and discovering that while we're doing that and classes are going on, that we're dealing with some issues. So sort of not disrupting learning at the same time, we're trying to meet new standards and new needs of the faculty. So that's presenting a major challenge for us today.
Yes, I think I'll jump on this question. I think in terms of reliability, I think it's really changing because in the past we had complete ownership end to end from the source to the destination. And now we have this thing called the network in the middle. So working with our network team and making sure that like that half, that the IT side really understands what our goals are, that's complicating the reliability piece. So it's a learning process for everybody. Whereas before we could pretty much jump in and say, okay, yeah, this device is reliable or that's reliable. But it's a much deeper question today than it was, of course, 5-10 years ago.
Well, I'll kind of round those thoughts off. From our perspective, reliability is kind of obviously a core tenet of everything that we do. Specifically in medical education, things can be very limited. A faculty member may be coming over from, let's say, the emergency room or the clinic, and we only really have like one chance to kind of get it right. So that's kind of our big kind of look through, is making sure that the systems are active and reliable all of the time. So we spend a lot of time outside of the classroom making sure that everything is functioning and working. But we keep a ton of extra equipment. That's kind of one of the, I would say, a luxury when working on the medicine side, is maybe you have the ability to keep some extra things handy when maybe you don't always have that in some other spots. So that's a nice spot to be in particular.
Yeah. So to my manufacturers, Michael, Jordan, Ryan, how do you guys see how manufacturers can better support education tech managers, and not just during the like design and install phase, but like really long term?
I guess I'll go since I was the first one before. I really think a lot of it has to do with training. We got a whole new generation of people coming into this industry, the analog initiators that know every closet, every conduit run. Their hands are the reason that rooms work. They're retired. And we got this new subset of AV guys that are eager to learn. But it's daunting, right? We got so many directions that you should go. And I think with that tribal knowledge leaving, and there isn't much documentation, we as manufacturers need to come in there and teach these new recruits how to use these systems. And I think it's not only with the stuff we want to sell them, but to look back into the past, because hey, we all know with schools, 5-year refresh, right? It isn't always 5 years. So you could have rooms that are 10 years old. Well, I want to make sure you're able to support those too, before we even get into something new. And I think that needs to be our driving focus in a lot of what we do right now.
Yeah, and I'll hop in there. I mean, I agree with everything Jordan said. And I think really what it comes down to is not only being in the marketplace, like being at the events that you guys are at, but it's also when something starts, whether it's a project, it's an initiative, a refresh cycle is around the corner. It's not only like it's stated in the question, not just being there for that, but really having not only a relationship, but also almost giving you like a bat phone, if you will. Anything goes wrong, that ability to, if I don't have the direct answer, but I can get you to the right person, within our organization to get it done and get it done in a timely manner, because it is, if that classroom is down, if that auditorium is down, things can't continue moving. And so it's definitely, from a support side, just really making sure that things can happen and things can happen quickly and you get the support that you need.
Yeah, so I may be copying a little bit of what Jordan and Ryan said, but I think it's going to be right on line. I think there's kind of three things. Number one, it's insight. So the challenges that most of the folks in this role have tend to be very similar because they've got the same kind of customer base with a lot of the same behaviors and the same client demand, right? The students want the same thing, whether it's in classroom or hybrid. And so first and foremost, I think it's having those meetings as a manufacturer with your customers prior to building stuff. What are your needs coming in? You know, where are you going? Where do you see your demand going? What kind of problems are you having? Then I think it's conversations, right? Not just talking, because a lot of manufacturers talk to end users, but they don't really listen. So it's really about listening, right? What is it you need? And how do we make sure we help with that? And then the last thing is partnership, and that's, you know, just like Jordan referenced, it's training. And Ryan made reference of the bat phone, right? There are times, you know, Craig said, "Hey, I'm doing this alone. Hey, wouldn't it be nice if I had somebody I could throw the ball over the fence to that would catch it on the other side and remote in and help me make sure this is going," right? Creating those kind of partnerships, and really the world on the IT side is doing that for years. AV has been kind of slow to drag our heels into it because anytime it sounds like service, people get get kind of hesitant on that. But I really think that's where the world's going, which is, hey, listen, we have a limited staff here. Can you remote in and help me get that thing back up and running? And I think that's where that kind of relationship, where there's real trust there, I think that's where we're going to see it ultimately go. So we can learn where you need to go. We can make sure we're listening to what those demands are, and then make sure we help you when you do run into any kind of issues.
Absolutely. So this is kind of to everyone because every campus is different. They all have different needs. So to my tech managers, how do you think that integrators and manufacturers can strike the right balance between standardizing systems, but also allowing room for the flexibility to give you what you need?
Well, I think it comes down to defining perhaps feature sets in terms of functionality. Like, what kind of functionality do you need in the classroom? Like, can I bolt on different features to a core design? Like, if I have a basic classroom design that maybe doesn't need a document camera, or maybe doesn't need full Zoom capability, but if I can easily expand that system to add it on relatively painlessly, like that's the sort of thing that we're looking for in our new classroom standard design. So making it modular and easy to add on those kind of bolt-on functional pieces.
That's certainly how we look at it. Standardization, backbone core components that are consistent, and then leave room for customization at the edge. That to me seems like a great way to deploy things. And I did want to just hop back to the last thing we talked about, because I think it's important. What I need manufacturers to understand is, when am I deploying something, and consider my change management along with your change management at the same time. If I'm going to deploy 5 new programs overnight, and I find out that the system I'm using to deploy them just did a major change and broke everything, I have some pretty upset techs and faculty at 8 a.m. in the morning.
I wanted to, I think, touch on, budgetary constraints, right? Our budgets run on a particular cycle, and adding in a new subscription fee or adding this on and that kind of thing is extremely difficult when we're planning. Our typical cycle, depending upon how all the funding can work out or shake out, could take up to 21 months, right? So I need to plan very far in advance, and I need some specific numbers, and I have to hit those. And if I don't, I got to go back and ask for more money. And right now, that's a difficult thing to do. So I think having some of that grace, and either working with an integrator, and I know right now it may be difficult to lock in pricing, any more than those 30 days, but having the grace to go up to 90 days and sometimes beyond that can be extremely helpful for the current environment that we're working in.
So, go ahead, Michael.
No, I was just going to talk about the standardization versus customization, and it's kind of been alluded to, but I was just going to say, I think it's in the software design, right? If you make software that can only be touched by someone that's trained and I mean, I love our integration partner, but if it's limited to just them, then it's limited to how fast you can make a change on a fly. And so I think, as manufacturers, we have a real obligation to create UI that can be modified so that you can have that standard version. But, Craig made a reference to when you need to add something or having the ability to kind of adjust that on the fly and be willing to give that tool away without it being a threat to anyone. Is how you allow the variation between standardization and customization. It's all done through the software. Anyone that's an iPhone user or even an Android user, you have the same core, but every one of your phones looks and functions a little bit differently because we have the ability to make adjustments within the walls, right? And I think that's that software design has not always been present. It's been more restricted in the past.
Jordan, Ryan, any thoughts there?
Yeah, I agree with Michael on that. You got to build a scaffold system, right? Where you have a base program that is built. And I do think it needs to focus on both the hardware and the software, just in the sense that the hardware you choose needs to stand the test of time and possibly be able to, in 2-3 years, bolt on 4 or 5 more pieces. If, like Greg said, hey, we only got 20 grand for this room, but I already know it's not going to give them what they want, in a sense. They're going to say they want more. How can we add on to this and make sure we're planning ahead so that we can do that both on the software and hardware side?
Yeah, and I think just to add on to it too, I know because historically, in terms of higher ed, sure, we get asked when it is a complex, large space that needs to be mic'd up, especially for hybrid learning, right? And really our focus in the last few years and beyond is really about driving the level of simplicity that is on that microphone that you got, Steph. You plug it in and it just works. Driving that simplicity into the higher level systems, and then also driving that level of quality down into more simple, standardized rooms. And really, just to echo off what everyone else has said, it is about giving that backbone where, what is this? Is this a one-touch joint system? Is this something that anybody can plug into and understand very quickly? But that same backbone does have the ability to be, do we need voice lift? Do we need this? Do we need that? Do we need to do this other type of switching? And it is added on to that backbone in that modular approach. And so, yeah, just echoing and yep, that's my 2 cents there.
Beautiful. We had a question come in from Hector in the audience, so I figured I'd go ahead and throw this in here. And this one is to the tech managers. Has your campus transitioned to or moved toward bring your own device model? And have you had any faculty pushback or resistance to these design changes?
Talking about...
Let me just jump in first here. We have not, and I think that's a lot of it's because of the type of medicine that we're working on. Is they just don't have those devices immediately with them, or they're bringing them in, or you have a lot of hourly or adjunct faculty that kind of need that integrated equipment in there. However, we did go through a change where we, while we're still using a control manufacturer behind the scenes, we adopted Zoom on the front. And that has been a tremendous change because everybody sees Zoom, at least at this institution, every single day. And it's a common interface. And we're now having faculty walk in and see it. And they say, I know how to use this, because they already do know how to use it all the time. So that kind of common interface, common experience is going a long way and has really reduced the number of questions about how do I use this, or what am I trying to do here again? Now it's pretty simple now, and I'm glad that we adopted that common user interface.
This comes up every 3 years here, and I feel like I'm always trying to move towards BYOD, and every time we get there, we go, but what are we really saving at the end of the day? Everyone says make the teaching station smaller, but taking a one rack PC, one rack RU PC out of it is not going to make it any smaller, and it's probably going to make it harder to support at the end of the day. We're seeing that right now with the latest OS that came out. So I keep wondering why we would do that, other than to save staff resource time.
Right. So I think we here at Moravian University are in a kind of unique position on this front because we are an Apple distinguished campus. And so we give all of our students MacBooks when they enroll, all of our undergraduates, that is, and all of our faculty also have MacBooks. So you would think, well, we don't need any kind of PC in the classroom or anything. Well, we actually have Mac Minis in every classroom because our adjuncts don't have the Apple devices. So we want to make sure that everybody has the same learning platform wherever, whatever classroom they happen to be in. So we're a little bit different. So I don't think we'll ever go to a full BYOD environment. But so I think a lot of it really, it depends, but I think in terms of, both, teaching equity, if you will, so between our adjuncts and our full-time faculty, that's why we provide the device in the classroom for the adjuncts.
Makes a lot of sense. So Michael, Jordan, and Ryan, I wanted to ask you guys, what do you think that better collaboration between manufacturers and campus tech teams actually looks like in day-to-day practice?
I think a partnership is truly required, right? Manufacturers shouldn't be looking for how to sell something to a client. They should be looking for how to solve your problems, and be ready at any given time to answer those questions. Or if something I can't answer, I could easily kick you up the chain and make sure things get escalated to where you're getting a high level support person to help maintain that system. And then also understanding that we need to then train on that. Now that you have had issues in that room, I want to know that you need that training. So also to the schools, explain where you are at with your manufacturers. I hope they're asking those questions, but sometimes they don't. And it's really good to know what you guys need, because it may differ between different schools. Some schools are very self-proficient and they just need, hey, escalate these cases when they come in. Some may say, hey, man, I need you. And for me, it's all right, I'll be down there. If you're nearby, I'll be there tomorrow. If you're in Reno, I'll be there next week. If my calendar's open, let's figure this out. And then let's train you after the fact or in the middle of that support session. Sometimes that is the best way to train people. And how I really like it too is, hey, this room's broken. This is awesome, because now we get to teach on how do you fix the thing that you're going to have to support in the future, instead of taking all these training classes. And as great as they are, they don't really click as well because a lot of the designs aren't aligned to what you guys are doing. So yeah, I think just make sure you got a guy. And I like to be that guy.
Yeah, and I'll just jump in really quick too, piggyback on what Jordan said. Yeah, on it, like the bat phone, all of that good stuff. And then really just understanding that the world is changing, AV-IT is converging. There are going to be people that we're working with in any organization that don't have the same chops as other people it has in the past. And it's making it, like Jordan said, finding those moments to do the training, making it digestible, showing them exactly how it is that you're doing this. Whether it is a complex system, like here's how we're doing the coverage zones, here's how we're accomplishing this, here's how we're doing the line drawings within the DSP. Some people don't even know what DSP is. You got to call it intelligence and show them how that works. Changing, and so it's just really meeting them where they're at, and making sure that they feel competent. But then also still they got the bat phone.
Yeah, Ryan and Jordan really nailed it. I'll add one piece, pardon me, and that's only that I think most this may be a perspective a statement. So my perspective and the 3 end users may have a different perspective, but I've seen a lot of manufacturers in the industry make a huge effort to have dedicated teams to serve higher education and try to have a better sense of the world, the rules they live by. Greg brought up the pricing issue. All of us manufacturers have obviously been faced with a bunch of hoops to jump through with, immediate changes in pricing, like in the moment that, that we've been hit with, that we don't have any control over and that kind of thing. So, but I think the companies that really are focused on higher education as a vertical, they are willing to, they've already shown a sign and willingness that they are committed to understand what their customer is going through. And so I think real partnership really is, Jordan said, you got to have a guy, right? I mean, you probably got a handful of guys and girls that you're working with in reality, right? And it's just knowing that those people are going to be there to stand by you. The world's going to keep changing. Ryan made a comment about the IT and AV world colliding. It's not just the knowledge base that's going to change. It's the practices that are going to change, right? There's a reason that some of these markets are growing at a faster rate, and the guys that aren't growing at a fast rate aren't going to sit on their hands forever and just go, I'll just take 20% growth this year. I mean, they're going to go, wait, you're growing 100%? I'm going that way. And you'll see more and more AV manufacturers make changes and adopt more of those models. I think it's inevitable.
So I want to flip that question and ask John, Greg, and Craig, what do you guys think, in your opinions, that better collaboration would look like between the manufacturers and tech teams?
2 good examples from our perspective. Recently, I had a manufacturer reach out and say, we'd like to schedule a monthly meeting with you. And so now we have a nice monthly check-in. It's on the calendar. Everybody knows what to expect. Another one is we actually participated in the design process for a product. We actually got to touch and feel and play with the whole thing. And now we ended up buying the thing. And I think that kind of relationship really helps us make sure the manufacturers really understand what our needs are, but they also understand what we're really dealing with. That monthly meeting has been phenomenal.
Right. That's a great piece of just having that involvement of us in the process. On the front end, when, like you said, when you're designing new gear, like, why are you designing this piece of gear? Like, does it really fit with what we need? So having that feedback loop is tremendous. Having that input to the manufacturers. And also in the day-to-day, having that knowledge expertise, as you all mentioned, having the support piece, someone to call that when something is wrong, that you have someone that really knows what's going on, that can perhaps bridge the gap between the AV and the IT folks. Like, hey, I need you to talk with my network engineer. Like, why do we need to enable this setting on the network switch? Helping ease that gap and translate the things for the new technologies that are coming out and that we're implementing. But yeah, just the support is, for me personally, is just absolutely crucial and critical.
I think from our perspective, it's really, like everybody said, it's listening to the actual problem, right? And then, while we aren't, we've used integrators and we'll continue to use integrators because of our model that we have here. It's understanding that, we're kind of like one B to them, right? Like, we know the stuff, we know the systems, but sometimes, but we aren't a dealer, right? So we do have to jump through a little bit of that to attempt to help ourselves. But at the same time, the biggest trend that I've seen is the welcomeness, actually, to allow us to get and grab that support and not necessarily have to go through our integrator partners, not because they're not good or not because they don't want to, but they're not standing in the room seeing the problem or experiencing it with us, right? And so being able to portray some of that stuff back, I think, has been tremendously helpful as the industry has changed and grown and understood that higher education is a very important segment of the AV market.
Absolutely. And this is just to everyone. I want kind of all of you to answer this. What's one thing that you guys wish more people on the other side of the table understood about your role in keeping education technology successful?
You know, one of the things when I'll say this, when I talk to an end user or somebody who's experiencing and using our spaces, kind of one of the things I tell them is I don't want to do any tickets, because if you have to talk to me, that means that something isn't working anymore, right? And so if we can design a system or put something forward to ultimately our end users that I never have to talk to them about, that makes my day, right? That allows my team to go off and do more fun things, try more product out, enjoy the day-to-day rather than, you know, trying to figure out what is broken on this particular thing. So that's kind of in a nutshell, you know, what I try to portray oftentimes to people is I don't really want to, I would love to talk to you. I'm here talking to everybody else here, but I don't want to talk to you about your problem or your broken thing, because that means we have an issue.
Fair.
I just was sitting in a meeting yesterday and we had this very issue come up, and I said, look, we're translators between the pedagogy, the IT, facilities architects. We're making sure that teaching and learning happen without friction, and that, you know, it's not just a technical issue, it's a teaching interruption when a projector fails. And so we want to manage that expectation and reliability, and we need our partners to help us do that.
From the manufacturer side, I would say just don't be scared to ask us questions. Try to engage with us. A lot of my customers do, but there are some that, you know, are hesitant, or there's people that are shy and they just don't like to talk. But try to build a relationship with us. We will try, but at the same time, sometimes just ask questions, and we're always open to answer them and be willing to build a relationship. I think that's super important.
So I'll throw something out there. I think if there's one thing I would say is that reliability to me is more important than new fun features. So if there's like a firmware or software update, I'd much rather have it be, you know, this makes everything more reliable and more stable than, oh, this adds another feature. But that's just me.
Craig, that's all of us. Trust me. Nobody, none of us like to sell something that doesn't work or use something that doesn't work. Yeah, I just, you know, look, I don't know that I need the other side to understand anything. Our job is to try to listen and serve and help everybody the best that we can. Our world is ever changing, right? The just getting the products or the components that we need to build product to make it reliable to Craig's standard, right? Which is what we want to do, right? That's our goal every single day. Gets harder and harder every single day. And we all saw it when we couldn't get product because all those chips were being pulled places, and that wasn't a choice by any of us or any manufacturer. There were bigger people that had bigger pull and bigger, deeper pockets, and that's where it went. And so, you know, I think every manufacturer is really working with the desire to be the best provider of product they can. So just take it with us and keep communicating.
Yeah. And I think just, yeah, I agree 1,000%. And it just is that the change that we really, really want to see, you know, does take time. But I will say that, you know, having those conversations, like this is what the building of the relationship ultimately does, is really get a gauge of where you guys are seeing gaps that need to be filled. And that's invaluable information, you know? And again, it's some of, you know, our greatest products were, you know, things that like we knew so many of the gaps in the more historical, longer to market, you know, and when it came out, it was great. And now it's really trying to be agile. And then there's the thing where, you know, at its core, it may not have all of the features that it is that you want, but we want to continue to hear what it is that the gaps are being filled, because you guys are the front line, you know? And so it's, yeah, it's definitely just keep the conversation going, and we are all working tirelessly to give you everything that you want, and trying to do it in a timely manner.
So I know we have a little bit more time, so I did want to kind of have a future looking question that I could ask all of you. So if you all could like look into your crystal balls and look into what we think the next 5 years are going to look like in the higher education space, what is that going to look like to each of you?
I alluded to this, so I'm going to go first really quick, and I'm going to use Greg's comment. They made Zoom the interface, right? Zoom's not an AV company; they're an IT company, right? We are going to see more people that come into the space from the IT side than from the AV side. It's a bigger market. There's more investment. There's more R&D. There's more software, and there's more licensing. And just in saying that, it changes your budgeting process, right? So if I was to look in the crystal ball, I'm not posing demise or anything for the AV side, but I think it would be naive to think that we're the only ones working on this space. And it is more and more interesting to me as I go out and talk to integrators, and they tell me they're selling classrooms or conference rooms or meeting spaces or whatever, and I ask them who they're selling, the names they tell me would traditionally be considered IT manufacturers, not AV. And yet they're doing the same thing. And I've been in the AV space for 26 years. They're doing the same thing, capability-wise, functionality-wise. Financing, funding model, very different. So I would just say if I looked ahead, I'd be talking to leadership about, as you all want to bring this stuff in, how are we going to deal with this? Because, Greg, I'm just calling out your statement, the talk of subscriptions and things like that, that's where it's going, right? Everything is becoming a service. So that's my crystal ball.
I might have a hot take people might not like.
Great.
HD-based T is going to be falling to the wayside. I don't think it's going to go away, but I do think AV over IP within the next 5 years is going to take a massive chunk to where HD-based T will be there. But it's going to be the new VGA in a sense. I still think we got about 10 years left until we really see that massive sunset, but AV over IP is exploding. Same with AV or USB over IP, keeping everything over the network, Dante, video, USB, you name it, and then being able, supporting your systems from the cloud. That's going to be a big thing as schools have multiple campuses throughout the state and less people likely supporting them. Typically, they need to have systems that are easier to support, and I think that's a trend that will keep growing.
I mean, I've got a long list of the 500 things I want to see in the next 5 years. I'll go with self-healing. I would like to see us move towards self-healing systems where we push an update at 1 o'clock in the morning, and by 7 o'clock it says, you know what, that didn't work. I need to push that again, rather than wait for us to show up and with our frustrated faculty. So all of those things though are ecosystem software based, absolutely. And I agree, AV over IP is here to stay.
What do I think will happen, or what do I want to happen?
You can answer both if you really want to.
Well, I think what I would like to see, it would be sort of a collapsing of all the different standards of AV over IP. For example, in audio, there's kind of Dante, AES 67, that sort of thing. Like there seems to be a few more standards, like NDI can be used everywhere, just to name a few. So it'd be nice to have a lot of boxes that kind of talk in the same way, that we can intermix and pull from different manufacturers. I don't know if it's too late for that, but we'll see. So that's what I would like to see. But what I also think will happen too, to go off of what John was saying about sort of, cloud management and more self-healing and more network-centric and IT-centric, just continuing to move in that direction so that we can have better control and standardized control of all these various different devices instead of one product or one software piece to manage that manufacturer's pieces of device or whatever. So you can have one piece of software that can manage across multiple different manufacturers. That would be really nice.
Come on, Craig. The fun of standards is everybody has one. Come on.
Exactly. Well, and I'm surprised it hasn't been brought up yet, but AI is going to continue making its move, period. I know we're all still holding off of like registering voices and faces and, having that be a part of transcripts. But it's coming. And I think from that standpoint, it's leveraging what that can do from the manufacturer side to be able to make everybody's life easier in terms of, again, talking about that backbone and to the very most complex systems and having it just be things get plugged in and things do what they need to do and go where they need to go and auto self-heal, auto do the things that it needs to happen in order for have that specific use case and that specific system just work. That's where things are heading in my opinion.
Can I jump back in real quick because I'm really disappointed in myself for not bringing up AI as well.
I got you, Jordan.
Literally a problem right now for me, how much I am addicted to it. I really do see coding being done in AI for our systems. I've already seen some people out there that are developing MCP servers to be able to go in and build a scaffold that you have your base code and then say, hey, I got 4 displays in this room, 2 sources. It's this. I need a volume up, volume down, mute, go, and University of Buffalo colors, please. And it spits it out. I don't think it'll be that quick, and it will take a little bit of tweaking, but I'm seeing people do some interesting stuff right now. And just based off of the acceleration of AI, I don't know. It's going to be pretty quick that we're going to see some really cool stuff in that regard.
I think for me, the future is a little bit different than, yes, AI is going to be there and those kinds of things. But when I think about what we're attempting to teach, at least on the medicine side, it's humans that are still going to be interacting with humans, right? And the AI robot that's going to come much after I'm dead, that's going to replace the projector or the display. I'm not concerned or worried, really about any of that physical part, because the human element is still going to matter. It still matters for all these faculty who show up. They maybe, when they get in the medicine field and whatever they're working on, maybe they're putting something into ChatGPT to help them diagnose something, right? That's great. But like for me, what's sitting right in front of me is a human and a bunch of students, whether they're on Zoom or they're in like the classroom. How can I make their experience better every single time? So that's really what I'm gearing towards. And I think, and I'm hoping that we're going to be able to and have the opportunity to continue to iterate on that to provide world-class medical education in the future.
Steph, can I jump in real fast? I just want to add one thing to it. Sorry, I was at a conference recently and I heard this said, and Greg, I think you're exactly right on the people side. But I'll say this: a president of a manufacturer, not in the AV industry, made a statement that he goes, "I don't know why we call it AI. It really should be IA. It's just intelligent automation." But when you begin to really analyze how much stuff is repetitive, Jordan talking about building a UI design, in a system, and I guarantee you, Jordan, Ryan do a lot of the same stuff all the time. Everyone thinks it's really unique, but they're just repeating it, and they're making it University of Buffalo colors versus somebody else, right? And so I do think AI will have a bigger play. The goal is for it to support the human interaction piece and make that part happen faster and better and easier, whether that's self-healing or whatever. That's the goal, is to make that happen easier and allow the people to be more focused on the human interaction side, not to allow it to replace us. And I think that's the angle we should be taking as manufacturers.
Absolutely. Well, in that vein, I did want to just give you guys the space to give any final thoughts. And in this, I want to give you guys the opportunity to tell people where they can connect with you online, as well as your companies or institutions. Jordan, do you want to start us off?
Yeah. So you can reach out to me at jscales@crestron.com. I am on LinkedIn, but I would rather you email me because I don't really go on there that much. And crestron.com if you want to go check out our website. I'll keep it sweet. Like Greg was saying, technology alone will never make a classroom successful. The people do. So we are the element, that we are the glue that's going to put it all together. Humans do want to interact with humans. That's never going to go away. If it did, we're all going to be very miserable. So yeah, just bring up your people, train them, mentor them, and look for your mentors, because they're out there, and we all need mentors no matter where we are in this whole cycle of learning AV. So yeah, get out there and learn stuff and enjoy the ride.
Absolutely. Ryan?
Yes. Well, you see, I have a unique last name, so you can find me easily on LinkedIn. My email is not as easy due to our convention. It is budvitar@shure.com. You can reach out to me there too. But yeah, find me on LinkedIn. And, if it's not me in terms of market development, I can absolutely push you in the right direction of who is in your area to start building a relationship with us. And yeah, I mean, I just love the sentiment that Jordan, said, is we're all in this together. And that's really what this is about. It's about solving problems. It's about, and all of us are on the same side of the table trying to make sure that the world of education, how much it's changed, especially in the last 5 years, not only keeps moving, but continues to grow and expand and evolve. And we are truly on the same side of the table. So that's my last note.
John?
You can probably reach me via email, the best, jpfeffer@buffalo.edu. I am on LinkedIn somewhere, but I don't look at it that often. So, but that'd be fun to find out what happens there. My thought is this: I think with AI, the relationship between campuses and manufacturers is going to become much more collaborative and less transactional. AI is going to drive that. It's going to be less about box swapping, more about data, lessons, and accountability. Ecosystems build on a genuine partnership. And I think even not just my campus and a manufacturer, my campus and other campuses together are going to be in this. So that's where I'm at.
Absolutely. Michael?
So like Ryan, I got a little bit of a unique last name, so it's not too hard to find me. You can go to the website, www.atlasied.com. You can hit me on LinkedIn. I am on it and somewhat active, so it's easy to find me there, Michael Peveler. And or you can email michael.peveler@atlasied.com. And my parting note is really simple. Don't forget the audio. Right? As soon as somebody in a presentation can't be heard, everything stops. As soon as someone's online and can't be heard, everything stops. So we put a lot of emphasis on video, but don't forget the audio. Thanks.
Beautiful. Greg?
Sure. You can find me, last name, first initial at msu.edu. I'm also available on LinkedIn. I check it and scroll it often. They got some fun games on there to play as well. Otherwise, I'd invite everybody to visit healthsciences.msu.edu to learn more about what we're doing on the health sciences side.
Wonderful. And Craig?
Thanks. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm not sure how many other Craig Underwoods there are, but hopefully you can find me there at Moravian University or underwoodc@moravian.edu. Parting thought, I just want to say a thank you to the manufacturers, especially those that are here, for really really taking ownership of the support piece and reaching out to those of us in higher ed and other tech managers. I know it is seen. We see that effort, and we thank you, for sure. And so we really just love the trajectory that we're all on together.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so very much for sharing your afternoon with me and for being a part of Launch Week 12. It has been a wonderful way to end our day of education, and you have been a wonderful party panel. Thank you guys so
Party
much.
panel.
Yeah, party panel,
Thank
rise
you.
up.
That's it. Rise up.